Estás viendo Canal América, televisión dominicana para el mundo.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your fears.
Welcome to A Time for Truth show. I'm your host, Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, and today we have a very important and interesting show. When you think about it in life, life is full of choices, decisions, paths that we take. And I don't know about you, but I didn't always take the right path, but luckily I made it. And you know, sometimes there are people that we know or we hear of, and they take the wrong path. Maybe it's drugs, maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's some type of offense against the law. But you know, we're all human beings and we need a chance to learn from our mistakes, not just continually be ostracized. So today's show, we have a solution for you. And Buddha, if you start putting up the pictures of our special guest today, Dr. Qarlah Prince, an international and domestic public speaker and life coach, a minister, a certified financial instructor, executive consultant, and facilitator. Dr. Prince is founder, CEO, and managing director of Roots of the Heart International Foundation, which strives to provide services to veterans, alcohol and substance abuse users, and ex-offenders, providing safe drug-free transition housing, stabilizing employment opportunities, and providing easy access to ongoing treatment. The support is aimed at enabling self-sufficiency, empowerment of a new life, rehabilitation from addiction, and ending the cycle of homelessness. The program focuses on adult ex-offenders who receive housing, education, job training, and general life sustainability skills. Roots of the Heart International Foundation provides indirect and direct services and support as a structured recovery residency to offenders released from the penal system. A 12-step program is instituted for individuals seeking recovery from alcohol and drug addiction, while also providing sober, supportive housing, along with qualified professional counseling to shift the desire away from drugs. They deal with emotional issues, physical issues, and those associated with the effect of being codependent. The goal is to transition these men and women back into society as productive Americans. The facilities enable recovery from various types of abuse, providing individuals with help after a life crisis such as homelessness or incarceration. Over 100 transitional housing organizations are located in the state of Georgia. Dr. Prince obtained her religious doctorate from Cottonwood School of Ministry as a licensed ordained minister. She is a certified caregiver for over 40 years, a licensed certified professional counselor with degrees in business law, psychology, biblical studies, teaching, marketing, and so on. These from Hebron College, Metropolitan Business Academy, and Citadel Academy. And today it's my pleasure to welcome, and Buddha, if you put her up on the screen with us, Dr. Qarlah Prince. Welcome to A Time for Truth show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I do appreciate this.
It's our pleasure to have you on, and I know it's going to be a very important subject. So let's get right into it. And I want to ask you, what was it that motivated you to become founder and overseeing of this organization, Root to the Heart?
Well, it started out with a personal experience, actually. I have two sons that literally was incarcerated at the same time, and they were wrongly incarcerated. And they were given, one was given a life sentence, and the other was given 18 years. And these were literally my babies. And so I got really involved, and spoke a lot with the attorneys and things of that nature, and it was just really unfair. And after hours and hours of research, dealing with the attorneys, the penal system, the whole 9 yards, we got the sentences reduced to 3.5 years for each of them for being in the wrong place at the wrong time, instead of literally charging them for something that they did not do. There are so many men and women that are incarcerated for this very same reason, but they don't have family members that would fight for them or even have the wherewithal to do the fighting. And so that really tugged at my heart. And then the stories that I was hearing from the inside, from my sons, it just tore me apart. And I found myself putting together care packages, not just for them, but for the other inmates who didn't have family, sending more money for food to go around. And that really tugged at my heart. And that's the portion of the roots of the heart, because these, I call them my babies. I know they're grown men, but they didn't have anybody, and family members kind of wrote them off. But I look at it as, people make mistakes. We make mistakes. And if you will put forth the effort to try to turn that thing around, I believe somebody needs to be there on the other side to help you.
Absolutely. You know what? I don't know anyone that I'm aware of that hasn't made a mistake in their life. And, sometimes we're lucky, sometimes we're unlucky. Thank God that your sons had you and a strong individual to actually represent them. And it's amazing. That's an amazing story and what you actually did for them. And I can totally understand why you would start the organization. So how exactly does Roots of the Heart Foundation work with the veterans, with the alcohol and substance abuse users, ex-offenders? Tell the audience, how you've structured it to work.
So, taking these one at a time. So with veterans, a lot of them that have been incarcerated they struggle with PTSD, and that could be from a number of different types of trauma. And so what we do is we definitely find the root of most of the issues, and then we can connect them with the proper resources, most of all professional counseling in that area. And people are professionals in their own right in specific areas, whether it is drug abuse or whether it is a traumatic death experience. I have a son-in-law who is active in the Air Force and literally is suffering from PTSD. He has not been incarcerated. However, one of his troops was contemplating suicide, and he thought he had reached him. But when he went to check on him, he literally heard the gunshot while he pulled up in the driveway. So traumas like that, it's not always the abusive situation, and it's not always the incarceration, but other things can lead to drug use and abuse. And I like the choice of word with drug abuse, alcohol abuse, because it is the abuse portion that I like to focus on, which literally means to abnormally use a thing. Because if someone were to get hit by a car and the doctor administered morphine for pain, it's proper use. But if that same person took more than they should, it is abuse. So To abnormally use something, a person, an emotion, or anything is still abuse. And a lot of that we've found after getting to the core, it stems from some type of abuse, whether it's neglect, whether it's physical, emotional, verbal abuse, as a child even. And then here you are, this adult man, and you're saying, how do I deal with this? What do I do with these feelings and emotion? So you bury them with alcohol. You bury them with drugs. And then you overdo it because you really believe that's your Band-Aid, that's your cure. Until now you're hooked. And, and so we like a foundation of truth. We want to know as much as we can about the core, get to the root of the problem, and then properly select the counselor that fits that person, because everyone is different.
Absolutely. Well, Carla, I'm actually a member as a doctor of the New York State Chemical Dependency Committee for my colleagues, because,
Yes.
doctors are people too, and they get in trouble. Sometimes they have very stressful marriage, or maybe something going on. Maybe they just don't do well in their office. And it's very interesting because at our last meeting, one of the doctors actually brought out that there were some recent studies showing, and I think it was done by a psychologist, that social interaction and social care, like what you're giving, actually not only improves their emotional state, but they actually been finding with a study that it was actually preventing disease, actual physical disease. So I found it very interesting because it's like something that you're bringing out, and something that we've had on the show talking about past traumas. Absolutely. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So what specific emotional issues have you found that you encountered with these people that you've been helping while you're providing these safe drug transitions and these safe environments that you provide?
Well, a lot of it's connecting, and it's when you say the emotional trauma, it is feeling that you can't reach someone, because I like to say, and I believe it's a fact, this is someone's son, someone's dad, someone's cousin, someone's friend. And so you don't want to give up. And so that can be frustrating. And that's something that is just human. When you do everything you can, you think you've provided what an individual needs, and you just can't reach them. And I like to also point out that these individuals, they go through a rigorous training and things of that nature, as far as being able to be a part of our program. So they've undergone some counsel, they've undergone some things, but sometimes we manipulate so well that we slip through the cracks. And so now the question that you're asking, these are those individuals, and now you're really at a place where somebody really cares, and now you're really at a place where you really have to feel. And so that can become difficult sometimes. But the best emotion is that feeling and emotion of joy when someone gets it, and then they can go home and they can be the dad that they've always wanted to be, or the brother or the son. And so it's a mixed kind of emotion that we like to balance, but we don't dare say don't feel. If you feel frustrated, feel it all, because that's the only way we can reach someone. That's a type of connection. People say anger is a type of connection. Well, frustration is also a type of connection, because it forces you to press down and really try harder, try another avenue. No doesn't mean no, it means next option. What else can I do?
Absolutely. You actually, as you were talking, you brought something to mind that actually this man Hubbard calls dynamics, the different parts of everybody's life, their family, their community, their church, synagogue. And I was thinking as you were talking that these men and women that you're actually bringing back to being productive and saving them actually from destruction in their lives is, we have to take a look at, they have wives, or they have a husband, they have children, They have people in the community that know them, and sometimes we don't actually look at the interaction and the effect that it causes when one of our friends, one of our family, is taken away as a loss, and really we all suffer. So I think that what you're doing, has tremendous ramification, much further than just even that particular individual. So I want to laud you for the fact that you've taken on this as your life work.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, I couldn't see myself, how we want to say we want to give back or pay it forward. I don't think there's a better call, in my personal opinion, than to help these men specifically to take their rightful place. And we don't call them ex-offenders. We don't call them ex-cons. We call them new citizens, because I truly believe they get another chance. They get another opportunity to rewrite their story.
That's so smart of you, because I think one of the things I've never liked is some of these labels. I see that some groups tend to label people, and they label them that, oh, well, this kid is hyperactive, and I think about that and I go, well, when I was 12 years old, I guess all my friends in my neighborhood, we played football or we played baseball, we were hyperactive. But I guess nowadays we'd be hyperactive. So, I think, it's very smart not labeling somebody, because, it can be really demeaning to someone to feel, oh, I'm this label, I'm this, person, this bad, I have such and such a problem. So let me ask you a question. How do you go about with these people that you're helping in terms of the employment, in terms of making the connection with the employers? How does that work?
Well, it's a little different than what you'd probably expect. So when we teach and train, I first like to know what they desire, what their passions are. And so, a lot of it stems from, personal experiences that people just hold the job for a paycheck, but there's no desire to be there. So you don't really get proper service. And so I want to know, if you really have a desire for carpentry, then you need to get trained in that area. I wouldn't put you in culinary and then get you a job there. You'd be late coming in, take long lunches, and leave early. You know what I mean? So we want you to want to go to work. And what I like to teach is, think of anything that makes you happy that you would do if you wouldn't get paid. That's the job for you. And then that's where we place them. And we never have an issue, because they love doing what they're doing. And then you say, and you're actually going to pay me for doing this? Because I would do this for free. That's the best job, and job security. And even as an employer, you love to see this person come in because they're happy about showing up. They'll be there a little early because they love what they do, instead of, this is a job of desperation where I've got to feed my family, or this is a means to keep a roof over my head. And many people do it. And I'm not discrediting that, because I also believe you do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do. So in this case, we're able to train and teach and really get to the root, the core of, who are you? What do you like? What were you doing for 5 years, 10 years, or 15 years? How did that affect your life? And know who they are. And see, for a lot of these men, no one's ever asked them. No one's ever taken the time out. So that's a feat all in itself, to know, what do you like? And then from there, we can now link them with the proper people, the proper employer. Even some starting businesses, they didn't even think they could do it, and didn't realize how simple it was when somebody believes in you.
Makes total sense. It's like a good manager of an athlete, or an actor has a good manager, or you have good parents, and you're talking about something that I think in life we go too much into materialism and physical reasons, rather than and necessities, obviously, like you said. But we go away from like, okay, what is it that empowers you? What gets you excited? And it's like when you and I met at that conference, that world conference, and we were talking about this talk we're going to have today. It's really empowering, and I can see, and it just comes out. You can see how what we're doing, I think, is going to help a lot of people, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. I wanted to ask you, because I'm sure you have stories that you can relate to the viewers. Do you have any stories on some of these people that you've helped and what happened to them in the past, so the people watching, or if somebody's out there watching and they're going through this, they can see, oh, you know what? This person went through the same thing, but they made it. So maybe you can relay a story of what happened to someone in their past, what trauma, what failure they had, and how you brought them back.
Sure. So I have a young man that comes to mind, and he was given a life sentence. He went in, I think he was 15 or 16 years old, and was given a life sentence. And he's 30 now, I believe he's 30. Going through the program and just showing him love, being there for him, being the support. And prior to him getting out, he didn't have visitors. Parents were out of state, so that was difficult. They couldn't just come down to visit. So we would go and we would visit. This was prior to the release, and we would just show the love. We would be that family for him and talk to him about employment and not giving up and things of that nature. And if they close that door because now you're a felon and they don't want to give you a job, don't worry about that. It's okay. And I always say that's their loss. They don't know what they're walking away from. And so I want them to know that they're special, they're unique, and that their situation does not define them or their future. And so with this young man, I mean, he's one of my just best success stories, because it blew my mind. Everything that we taught, he did. And I'm talking, he was able to get early release, not from being incarcerated, but to their halfway house, they call it. And he was able to go to work at the governor's mansion because of his demeanor, because of him remaining calm, because of him not letting no mean a death sentence to him. It's okay. It just means next option. What else can we explore? And do it with a smile on your face and in your heart. And he went from the governor's mansion with a good report back to the correctional facility, which then in turn gave him an early release. Then he was able to get his own apartment. He was able to keep his apartment. He later started dating. Then he got married. And I'm talking, this is during the pandemic. So this isn't something that happened 10 years ago. This is recent. And he is I'm going to call him, they're all great stories, but his, because of what he was facing so early on, never experienced his teenagehood, his 20s, his 30s, barely his 30s, I should say. And, and then facing life. I can't even imagine facing life, and you're a child when you went in, and then to have things turn around for him. And one by one, we celebrated every victory. And I mean, it's just amazing. And I've got tons of stories of those who follow the program, who have great success. Some follow it to a certain extent, and then they get tired because it takes a discipline. But others, they want better for themselves. And doesn't mean the ones that are not as disciplined failed. It just means they need more attention. They just need more time. How many times have we made the same mistake over and over again? We swear we got it this time, and then here we go tripping over the same cord, right? So we have to give people the same patience and understanding and respect that we would want for ourselves. We've had some that had to return back because they manipulate very well, and they do that. And so, they write their own story. And that's the main thing I like to say to people. I give you a pad and a pen. That's a to give to you. And I want you to sit and write for me how you feel. I don't want to know about what happened while you were inside. You're not there anymore. You're not that person. You're a new citizen. And so, that is just amazing to see these things.
That's beautiful. You know what? You talk about roots of the heart. So you definitely have a heart. I can just feel, as you're talking with me on the show, the amount of love and care that you give these men and women. And, so roots of the heart. Wow. What is your email if people want to get in contact with you?
So it's rootsoftheheart@yahoo.com. Rootsoftheheart@yahoo.com.
So get in touch with Dr. Qarlah Prince at rootsoftheheart@yahoo.com. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but wow, we're going to have another show, but thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Well, it's amazing stories. There are many more, and you're an ordained minister. We have to get into that and what we can do with our country. I know you've probably got some great ideas that you're working on right now. And for those of you tuning in to a Time for Truth show, let's take a lesson from Dr. Qarlah Prince. Let's give people another chance. Let's give ourselves another chance. Don't be so hard on yourself. No one's perfect. Care. Start again. And like she said, start a new life. So today at the end of the show, we're starting a new life. May you have a great week. And thank you for tuning in. We'll see you again next time.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your feet